the person at the UN at some point will make new decisions about what can be done by the UN in North Korea. The more information they have, the more likely they are to act. Section 5 there tells you how to submit information. I'm not going to go into that in detail, but you get the idea. It probably would be a good idea if you came up with your own form to record the testimony of defectors. I have to emphasize the point that I'm sure you're probably aware, but the UN emphasizes this point, so I want to emphasize it, that the identity of victims, the people that you identify as victims, or people that you identify as sources of testimony, those identities cannot be protected by the UN. So if there's any cause for concern, that those people need to be aware that if they fear retaliation to them or their families, that their identities are going to be public. Now, as long as you're in Geneva anyway, right? You're all going to Geneva in September at some point. You want to know that where the representations are of the People's Republic of China and of North Korea. And so I've listed them for you with your street addresses, so you don't even have to look that up. You already have it. All you have to do is go there. This next section is on avenues of influence, how to lobby the UN and other governmental, intergovernmental, non-governmental entities. This is largely stolen from Amnesty International. How am I doing? Do I have 5 more minutes? Or no? 2 minutes. I think it's really, really important that you not just think about the stuff that you're submitting to the UN, that you are backing that up with going to your to relevant countries, embassies here, and saying, we have presented this to the UN and we want you to be aware of it. So the coalition, the international coalition that I mentioned that was formed in Tokyo, we were here to announce, we were here 2 weeks ago to announce that we had written a legal brief on prison camps in North Korea that we were submitting to the UN as a petition calling for a commission of inquiry. When we were here, we took the opportunity to meet with the U.S. ambassador to South Korea to let him know that this was going on and that we wanted U.S. support for that petition, that brief. We also met with a number of legislative leaders here in South Korea and other embassy personnel, staff and officials at the Ministry of Reunification. We had done the same thing in Tokyo to try and build momentum for this request for a commission of inquiry. I'm not going to try to go over everything here. Many of you, I'm sure, do this as routine efforts. I'm not going to go through, setting your objectives and stuff like that. You know how to do it, and if you don't, it's all right there. Okay? Now, I do want to say, I do want to call your attention to Wango. Wango. WANGO.org. Wango is the worldwide NGO directory. And if you can find all the NGOs, all the non-governmental organizations that exist in South Korea by going to the site and looking it up. I think that you should have in coalition with you not just groups that are working on North Korean human rights, but any group that has even the remotest, overlap of interest with what you're doing, which could mean all civil society NGOs. try to reach as broad a constituency as you possibly can in South Korea. The same site will also tell you all the NGOs that are working on North Korea around the world. And you want that list too, so that when you say you're going to the UN and this is what you're going to be doing, then you can put out an alert to those NGOs saying, we want you to write the special rapporteur on human rights in North Korea and lend your support to our efforts at the UN. Final thing I'm going to say. When I started with Amnesty International, we were working on Argentina, Chile, and most of the countries of Latin America. We were working on North Africa, Central Africa, and South Africa. Most of the countries of Africa, including South Africa. We were working on Portugal, Spain, Greece, Turkey, all the countries of Eastern Europe, the Soviet Union. We were working on the Logai system, prison camps in China, Indonesia. And every time we addressed a country to try to improve the human rights abuses in that country, we heard the same thing that you're hearing now about North Korea and that we're hearing now about North Korea. It's so hard. There are so many abuses there. There's never been a tragedy like this before. You can't fix it. It's too hard. They're too weird. They don't listen to you. And, you know, if we had listened to people saying that about the countries that we addressed, none of those countries would be free now, and they all are at least freer than they were at that time. So don't pay attention to that stuff. As our great leader Martin Luther King used to say, the arc of history is long, but it tends toward justice. Thank you.